like bowling? Want to pay full price for a bowling game where you only bowl and there's not much else to it? What about a bowling game that isn't easy to get into, unlike Wii Sports Bowling? Well, we got a game simply called Bowling. Here today to cover a bowling game for the PlayStation 1 under the D3 publisher Simple series of games. While most of the Simple series is trash, and not everything was released in the US because of it, I mean just look at Zombie Zone and Zombie Hunters 2 for example, bowling itself isn't that bad of a game. So let's talk about Bowling for the PlayStation 1.
Okay, you get it?
The game is simple to control. You basically just select some options like name input. Sadly, you can't use ASS, as the game will detect the foul word and change it to something random. So select, if it's a CPU or player, what controller they will use. So if you're poor and can't get two controllers, let alone the multi-tap, you can share a single controller every turn. You can select the ball type, weight, and if you want guardrails for those who suck at bowling, let alone are old or children. Basically the only types that use bumpers in bowling. Outside of that, you can select power, speed of the throw, the direction you begin the throw, and then hope for the best when it comes to nailing the timing down right. That's the fatal flaw of this game. The timing bar. It spazzes out worse than a K-pop stan on Twitter hearing someone doesn't like K-pop, leading you to fail many turns bowling. Thankfully though, once you start to get the hang of it, the game is a whole lot of fun. That is till you get to quest mode, the only bad game mode in the game of 3 options. We'll talk about that one later. First, we'll cover Free Bowl.
Do I look like a happy camper to you? Didn't think so.
Here you can just bowl, alone, with up to 3 other players or CPUs. Select their difficulty level, name, ball, weight, and bumpers. Then begin playing 10 frames of bowling. Simple. Simple series.
I get it! I don't get it.
Thanks Japan for making a simple bowling game. Just what we needed back in the day. I never got to play this game till now, and I have to say, I missed out on simple fun. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as Wii Sports Bowling, but for the time, it's nothing awful. Outside of the time bar learning curve, the controls are good, and the AI does a good job as well. It rarely screws up, even on the level 1 difficulty, so you will have to bring your A game if you want to win. But one thing I want to bring up is the liminal space you play in. I mean, there's no other bowlers. There's nothing but darkness all around you. You just bowl forever in the void against AI. What the hell is this, in some Ordinary Gamers episode? I could see Muda having a fun time with that tone in this game gives off. It's calming, yet eerie at the same time. You can't tell what you're supposed to feel.
Maybe I even stand up and hit a little. Oh, what's that? The SpongeBob? Oh, Jason.
The quest mode sucks. It just sucks. Until you get good, avoid this mode. The time bar is the fatal flaw, as you need to nail pins in certain formations and restart the entire mode every time you lose. It's just a goal mode of getting pins and doing certain things. Not my cup of tea. I prefer more casual experiences. I'm not an angsty teenager anymore. I don't like competitive stuff. I'm more laid back now more than ever. But if you like competitive stuff, hey, you got an option in this game.
What the hell is even that?
The last mode available is Special. Here, you bowl to knock down 45 pins in a neat theme. There's something about the PS1 where designs like this really pop. The low polygons always complemented horror games, and this mode especially. The colors are neat, and the bad dragon butt plug pins are also quite neat.
Ha! Gay!
The mode only has 7 frames instead of 10. Also, the CPU can take a little longer here to bowl in comparison to free bowl, so be patient, as the PS1 is still a PS1, even through emulation. I did win in this mode, as by now, I got the hang of the time bar. I felt so proud to have beaten Charlie, Muda, and Scott. To which brings me to the other bit of the game.
Boy, I'm a little hard right now, I ain't gonna lie.
There's also a high score scoreboard for each of the 3 modes, so you can see your progress to being the best, and that's about it. The game is simply about bowling and nothing more. It's Simple Series at its finest, without the massive problems like Zombie Zone and Zombie Hunters too, so I'll give it credit. Finally, something besides Earth Defense Force to come from the Simple Series of games that's actually pretty decent.
Take one more last look around this beautiful world before saying my goodbyes to it. Damn you!
What's wrong with you?
At the end of the day, I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised at how good the game turned out to be. I was going in expecting crap. I mean, look at it. It's just bowling. The title is bowling. The cover art is bowling. You look at this and easily think this was a bargain bin title. Something you'd see at a video store to rent for $5 for 3 days, and that's about it. Yet, I'd say it's worth your time, as it was mine. I had a fun 41 minutes with this game. It will come back sometime soon. Plus, unlike Wii Sports, it's easier to emulate this without the need of motion controls, so I can actually play this bowling game. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. After reviewing bowling for the PlayStation 1 from the Simple Series of games, I just had to find other bowling games and see if I could find an even better, or on par, experience. Well, I think I found something on par. Or should I say, on spare. Okay, no stupid bowling puns, I ain't no dad. At first, I was turned away by the game's graphics and humor, but after getting used to the controls, style, and tone, I found myself having a good time. Let's kick things off with Quick Bowl. In Quick Bowl, you get no choices. It just throws you into a 10-frame round of bowling. Here, you can learn the ropes of the game and try to master the mechanics, which are incredibly simple. So much so, I bowled 10 frames and went right for the 6-player versus mode against CPUs. I'm glad it's here though, as sometimes you just want to jump into a game and not think or waste time setting things up. In Quick Bowl, you're entirely alone, so no waiting for brain-dead AI to take their respective turn. The controls are very simple. You use the X button to stop the meter at the right time to give your throw power and accuracy. This ensures you can get a strike, gutter ball, or the dreaded 7-10 split, or in a lot of my cases in bowling, the 4-6 split. If you screw up the power, let alone accuracy, your character will pull a slapstick incident and may cost you your entire turn. The game features 4 alleys total, each being vastly different from each other, which I'll take over several of the same or similar alleys other games may feature. You got the Retro Alley, Hula Alley, Space Alley, and Alley Alley, each having its own atmosphere, music, and ambient sounds. The space one kept reminding me of Futurama for some reason. The alley one left me uneasy, as I was afraid I'll get shot with all the car alarms and stuff in the background. Like, who wants to bowl in a Chicago alleyway anyways? The hula one is my least favorite, but then again, I'm not a fan of deserts, islands, and tropical stuff. I prefer more temperate locations and cold regions. There's no secret alleys from what I could tell, it's just these four. The game features something you don't expect from most sports games, character customization. While limited, it's a nice addition to let you choose your own appearance and or even the CPUs. You can change the hair, skin, shirt, pants, shoes, and bowling ball. Of course, outside of skin and hair, you need money to unlock new outfit parts, bowling balls, and characters. You get these by beating the four main modes of the game. I decided to try and make various YouTubers/streamers, but it fell short of accuracy. Well, outside of Asmongold, his character is on par with his real life appearance. In an open game, everyone competes against each other at once, each taking a turn bowling their 2 frames per turn. This mode is enjoyable, as everyone is competing for first place. There is no teams, so if a CPU decides to be stupid, it won't cripple your chances of winning. In team game, up to 6 players must compete in a team of 3 each to defeat the other team by scoring the most. You get to choose your team name and everything by choosing a symbol. Then, each person takes a turn in order of first on each team, second, then third. So I take a turn, the first person on team 2 takes a turn, then my second team member takes a turn, then theirs. You get the idea. This mode is fine, but the CPUs can ruin your chances of winning by getting gutter balls constantly, so you're the only one really contributing to your team's chances of bringing home the gold. In progressive mode, one player must compete against several opponents. It's a solo tournament mode basically, and after you beat one opponent, you move up the tree to the next opponent till you're the last one, alongside another CPU, and try to get the trophy in a final match. This mode takes forever for my liking, so I stopped early on to try the last one. In tournament mode, up to 6 players must compete for the trophy, so it's like progressive mode, but every character/player can play. Again, it's very slow for my liking, but it's an okay mode nonetheless. The last bit of things to mention are the cartoonish art style. It's a bit crude, but then again, it's a 2003 PlayStation 1 game. There's toon humor, also with sound effects and clumsy characters, as well as some goofy character designs. I like this after a while, as it gave the game its own style, tone, and charm, making it stand out against the more realistic bowling games out there, such as Brunswick's Pro Bowling. At the end of the day, I was surprised to find a second bowling game for the PlayStation 1 that was good. I still prefer the Simple Series bowling entry, but this one, with its cartoonish style, humor, and charm, is also pretty good. It won me over for being simple, goofy fun, and offering plenty of content to play with. I do recommend Big Strike Bowling for the PlayStation 1, and give it an average score. Anyways, that's it for this video. See y'all later. Well, it's time to wrap up the PlayStation 1 line of bowling games. We'll start with what I was expecting to be awful, given the last 3 PS2 era realistic bowling games, but no. Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling for the PlayStation 1 is actually decent, with only some technical limitations really holding it back. So let's jump into one of the last 3 bowling games I have to cover the PlayStation 1 still and talk about it. I was happy to see, unlike most bowling games, that I could make my own characters, yet was disappointed in the limited selection of customization options. You only have a few hairs, faces, and outfits. I couldn't really make myself, Muda, Zach, or even Charlie. If I can't bowl with the boys, then what's the point of living?
Oh, hell no!
Also, another limitation to character customization was the inability to play against them with CPUs. Yep, you can only use custom characters if it's player controlled. Why? Why a limit like that? That's dumb. Let's move on to the controls. The controls are really simple and serviceable. Just point down the alley the direction you want, then set the power and accuracy, trying to get the green bar for the best results. Nothing special, nothing awful, and all around good controls. There's not much else to talk about, as that's it for this realistic bowling game when it comes to its mechanics. The first mode is Exhibition, where you bowl 10 frames in front of a crowd and that's it. So basically open play / free play / practice. It's just a simple mode to play if you don't want to compete in tournament mode, though the constant clapping did get annoying. What is this, bowling wheel of fortune? Ugh. Tournament mode lets you customize how it all plays, which is a nice touch. You can avoid the qualification games and just get right to the main event. Change how many people are participating and more. Once in game, you just try to beat everyone and win the trophy. It's fine, but man, did the load time start to sour. It takes between 5 to 12 seconds per loading screen. And much like Starfield, they are constant and it adds up. Most of my playtime ended up being just loading screens once I edited the footage to separate everything. After every frame, after each person's turn, you hit loading screens. It's not fun. Plus the game ended up crashing or freezing or whatever during tournament mode, and it was the only time it happened, so be warned, this game does have some problems. I never understood skins game. It's like money and an elimination or something. I don't know and I don't care, it's boring. And when you have several people to play the game with, whether it's CPU or player controlled, the loading screens become the absolute worst. Now you have roughly 4 or 5 loading screens with 4 people bowling, and it adds up given you have to bowl 10 whole frames in any game mode.
Jesus Christ!
My favorite mode in any bowling game is one that alters the colors to a psychedelic style. The Sims 4 Night Stuff Bowling had that. Simple Series Bowling also had it, and Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling has one as well. This is Cosmic Bowling, and boy howdy is a nice aesthetic change. It's just an exhibition with a different lighting and color palette, but it's still neat looking. Does suck you're still playing in front of several never stop clapping crowd members. Gotta hate the crowd. Fuck off, Wheel of Fortune audience. So let's dive into the other section and talk about the music, technical problems, and I guess that's it. Now the music is good and I wish I could find it out there to use in the review, but couldn't and had to settle with Bowling for the PS1 from the Simple Series 1500 games instead, which isn't a bad thing. I've been using that for other bowling game reviews too. After playing over 10 bowling games, I can say that Simple Series Bowling is still my favorite overall, and I was a bit too harsh on it back in the day after playing a bunch of other bad bowling games. But as for Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling, man, I want to keep saying Pro Circuit Bowling and not Circuit Pro Bowling just because it sounds better. It's got problems with load times and the constant loading screens. Saving itself takes forever. If you try to play a full 10-frame game, it'll add up, especially if there's more than one person, whether it's player or CPU. So be warned, the game will come to a crawl over time and end up making you wish you were at the DMV instead. Enough said.
It sucks, man.
At the end of the day, Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling is a mediocre game, but one I do recommend despite some of its flaws like load times and freezing up. It's nothing special, but it's far from the worst bowling game I've played. In fact, there's one I wouldn't ever recommend, and that's coming up last in a little while, so get ready. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. And we're back, people, with yet another bowling game review. This is the sequel to Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling, but with a 2 in its name. Fancy, I know.
Shut up and take my money!
Anyways, for a sequel, you expect improvements while staying true to the first game's setup. You expect the same game, but with better and more to it. And you know what? They did it. With improved character creation, load times, more modes, better graphics, and more neat music, Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling 2 is just all around superior to the first game. So let's get ready to bowl, everyone, and jump into the review.
Yeah, boy.
The first thing I noticed right away was the improved load times, groovy music, improved graphics, and vastly improved yet still flawed character creation. You can choose your gender, body shape, skin color, face, hair, facial hair, hair color, outfit, and overall it just makes for a more in-depth, better looking custom character. I ended up making Charlie, Muda, Zach, and myself. They're nothing really like their real selves, including me, but it's better than whatever I could have made in the first Brunswick bowling game. I mean, Charlie looks like Charlie, Muda looks like a Wish.com Muda, and Zach is actually kinda highly accurate with his tall skinny body and lack of hair.
Man, fuck you guys, man. Y'all really think you're being cute, huh?
Controls have been changed ever so slightly. You still choose the direction, power, and accuracy, but you can also add spin to your throw much easier. Otherwise, it's still the same as the first game. You use the D-pad to alter direction, and the X button to set the power and accuracy as the bars fill up, with the tiny black bars representing the position you landed on with the button press. Still hoping to nail the green bar for the best of both worlds. The blue and accuracy will lead to a slight alteration, and red means it's most likely going to end up a gutter ball or a low pin knockdown.
And I'm using the word good very loosey-goosey.
Open play is this game's exhibition where you just bowl 10 frames alone or with other players or even CPUs. Yet once again, the custom characters cannot be used by the CPUs, only by the player. So I had to play with myself.
Oh my.
Not that kind of playing with myself, you sick f***. I meant to say I had to play as everyone, including my own character. Which was fine, as I just enjoy bowling. Anyways, let's move on to the other modes. Given this game comes with a lot more, there's not much else to say about open play.
You know it, I know it, everybody knows it.
Team play has you and up to 3 others team up against another team of up to 4 people. You pick a team from a small selection of pre-made ones, and then set who's on whose team. Then you bowl. Each person takes a turn to bowl, so the first of each team goes, then the second. So I bowl, then Charlie, then Zach, then Muda, in that order. Whoever has the most points by the end of the game wins, with everyone contributing to their win or loss. Otherwise, it's just that. Oh, and the annoying clapping crowd returns. Why is the Wheel of Fortune crowd back? Why?
I'm going.
Tournament is the same as the first game, but at least it doesn't freeze on me, so it works. But that's about it. You just bowl against CPUs and try to win the prize money, which doesn't seem to matter, it's just there. It doesn't unlock anything, nor does it allow you to buy more customization options, akin to Big Strike Bowling for the PS1, which I've already covered, so go check out that one after this video. Or even better, just wait a few more days for when I do another compilation of every bowling game reviewed for the PlayStation 1.
I'm on crack, and even I think that's whack.
Anyways, empty your pockets. Right now, everything. Yeah, I'm serious.
Skins Returns. Ugh, that sounds just awful.
Oh, that's nasty.
Anyways, you play skins like you usually do, which I don't care for as it's just another awful game mode that shouldn't be here. You just bowl and get eliminated or whatever over time? I don't know and I don't care. Let's move on.
Do I look like a happy camper to you? Didn't think so.
A new mode is Skills Challenge. Like any other bowling game with a challenge mode, you just have to knock down all the pins with one throw. As they get more and more challenging from 2 pins for being near each other to the dreaded 7-10 split. But sadly, unlike AMF Extreme Bowling's challenge mode, I can't play alone here. I must bowl against at least one CPU. Why can't I play alone? Why do I need to have a CPU here? Thankfully, my favorite mode returns. Cosmic Bowling is back and looking better than ever. Plus, no crowd. Yay! Fuck you, Wheel of Fortune crowd. So it's a huge improvement. The colors and lighting are just neat. I love this exhibition mode palette swap. But yeah, it's just open play with a change of colors and lighting. I played alone to avoid the loading times, which I'll cover next in the other section. So let's hurry up and move on. The technical problems that plagued the first Brunswick game have been mostly dealt with, but when it comes to loading times, it's still there, but slightly less. So a full 10-frame game will take forever, especially with 4 or more people, yet tournament mode didn't freeze on me this time, so that was nice. The music is good in the main menu, the graphics are greatly improved, but still PS1 as can be given its more realistic art style in comparison to something like Big Strike Bowling, which looks fine and much better with its cartoon style. Well, that's about it. Time to wrap up this review with the overall.
You've got mail.
At the end of the day, Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling 2 is a borderline average game that I do recommend. It's vastly superior to the first game, but still suffers from some of the first game's technical problems. It's okay and pretty soulless for being a realistic bowling game, so give it a try whenever you can. But out of the 5 bowling games for the PS1 released in the US, I still recommend Simple Series Bowling overall, followed by Big Strike Bowling. Anyways, that's it for this video. See y'all later.
Oh, no.
Suck a fucking dick. Shut the fuck up.
Well, I found the worst bowling game, folks, and yes, of course, it's a licensed game.
Here goes nothing.
Given the 1990s was not a good time period for the Flintstones with the atrocious live-action movies and failed attempts to revive the show, why not make a garbage bowling game, yet not really a bowling game, for the PlayStation 1? Wait, what? This came out in the year 2000, the same year we had Tony Hawk, Pro Skater 2, Diablo 2, The Sims, Deus Ex, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Tooie, and Jet Set Radio.
Oh my god!
Wow, this game just got a whole lot worse. I thought this was a 1997 game at best. Dear God. Okay folks, get ready, this one isn't going to be pretty. Well, you can tell just by looking at the game how fugly it looks.
Permanently! Yes, Mr. Slate. Right away, Mr. Slate.
The game opens up with one of the longest intros I ever seen for a game. It's almost as long as the entire game itself, which is little over 10 minutes if you include the loading screens. Yep, last Flintstones game was also incredibly short. And shit. So what's the plot? Fred's boss, Mr. Slate, demands Fred work overtime with no pay or else he's fired. So he can't go bowling with Barney and the kids. Oh, and Dino. Can't forget the stupid purple dinosaur, which would later be replaced by yet another stupid purple dinosaur decades later, after the show died off in the 1960s. Anyone who's old like me knows who I'm talking about. So the great Gazoo appears to help Fred out by inventing a whole new kind of bowling. And so begins the game. That's literally it in a nutshell.
Come on, let's try it out, Bon.
Well, it's about time.
The game lets you play as Fred, Barney, Pebbles, Bam Bam, and Dino. There's no difference between them like stats or the bowl itself. It's just who you prefer to play as. And then there is a difficulty option, and that's it. There's no unlockables or anything. The game plays like some mobile game before mobile games were even a thing. You just sit in a giant rock bowl and slide around trying to avoid obstacles, collecting gems for points, hitting pins for a better bowl, and hitting birds to continue the level and finish in its entirety. Control-wise, it's simple. Use the D-pad or left analog stick to move side to side, as well as forward to speed up, and backwards to slow down. That's it. There's nothing else to the controls. It's so mind-numbingly simple, and given the game's style, this helps drag the game on. Honestly, I almost stopped playing just after the first level. It's just so god-awfully boring. I'd rather get my ID renewed at the DMV. I'd rather go to church. I'd rather go get a colonoscopy. I'd rather read the entire Bible in front of a hospice patient care center who were all born in the 1920s. I'd rather watch golf. Okay, maybe not that far. But you get the idea. It's just so slow, simple, and boring. Don't help either that there's no music during the gameplay. Like, what the hell's up with that?
Here goes nothing.
So you slide side to side, trying to not fall off a cliff or whatever, collecting the gems to build up a score, which has no point, hitting all the pins possible for a strike.
Well done. Aren't you just the bowling wizard?
If you hit the birds, the game extends to let you complete more of each level. If you miss a bird, the level ends abruptly and moves forward. No retries, no going back. If you get all the birds within the first few levels, you get a bonus stage. Yay. Just to get more points. Yay. The levels are all the same boring emptiness with not much changing. The only time I struggled was with the mine level, since you could easily slip off the train tracks.
ball.
In the end, you win a trophy and that's it. You can save your high scores if you have the room on your memory card, to which I don't, as mine is practically full from all the other games I've been playing and reviewing for the PS1. So let's move on to the score already.
Oh boy!
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
At the end of the day, the Flintstones Bedrock Bowling is easily the worst bowling game I have ever played to date. I've played the Atari 2600 game simply called Bowling as well. I'd rather play that any day instead of this trash heap of a waste of plastic and Asian slave labor that had to print the discs and ship them to the world. This game is single-handedly one of the worst PlayStation 1 games of all time. It's fugly, it controls bad, it's nauseating to look at, the load times are bad, there's no replay value, no reward, and it's also very, very short, with no music or anything during gameplay as well, making everything feel even more soulless than it already is. I do not recommend this garbage game. Out of all the PS1 era bowling games, this is definitely the worst one. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. Well folks, I'm sorry to say that I missed a bowling game for the PlayStation 1.
You're a liar! You're a liar! You know something that you're not telling us, you slimy scumbag liar!
Yes, I know I messed up. So here's the final bowling game for the PlayStation 1 called 10 Pin Alley. Developed by Adrenaline Entertainment and published by American Softworks Corporation. Released back in the year 1996, this bowling game had me intrigued at first, given its style, but quickly devolved into yet another big disaster once I started to play with its mechanics.
I know you told your friend you're not okay.
I was surprised that I could even make a character in this game. It's not something every bowling game features after all, so when it's available, I take advantage of it to make myself, Charlie, Muda, and Zach. But sadly, the options are vastly limited. We can just select the preset model, then choose a color for their hair, outfit, and skin tone. Each character has their own stats and power, accuracy, and spin, which is a nice touch. Outside that, we can select the ball type, weight, skill, and name our character. Controls will be covered now. We can select the position of our throw and our character. Then we use the analog stick to add spin with the green arrow and try to add power and accuracy with the other two arrows on screen. Except we can never get it right. The arrows are stupid and shouldn't be on screen like this. Instead, they should be a simple left and right bar akin to Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling and many other bowling games. Cause that stuff works, unlike here. Just looking at the UI is disorienting and nauseating, especially once you have characters that are both right hand and left hand in the match, as the UI will flip constantly, making things even worse. Honestly, I don't get why they thought this was a good idea. As for open play, it's just a 10-frame game with 1 to 6 players, whether it's a mix of human or CPUs. Player 1 can control each one with a single controller, which is a nice touch, as that can help with those who have no money for multiple controllers. But otherwise, it's just open play, and the mechanics just lead to non-stop.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
There's a total of 3 game modes in 10 Pin Alley. We'll cover the second one, which is team play. This mode is simple. You form a team of 3, choose a pre-made team to represent, and then bowl. Simple as that really, except the mechanics are still bad and hold the game back from being playable. So get ready for non-stop gutter balls and skull crackings.
Honestly, when you look at it like this, I mean, I don't even need to say anything. It's pretty obvious.
The last mode available is Tournament Mode, to which good luck even participating given this game's awful mechanics. So let's just move on already. I don't want to talk about this game anymore. It's just awful, unplayable, and boring. The only good things about this game is the music, which we can select from two options in the options menu with Lounge and Rock. Graphically, this game is bad for a 1996 game on the PS1. The humor was funny at first, but quickly soured as well. Other than that, that's all this game has to offer. Let's move on to the score, and move on to the Nintendo 64 for one last title. At the end of the day, 10-Pin Alley is a bad bowling game. From its grotesque graphics to its awful mechanics and controls, nothing works right and it's just awful. Plain and simply awful. I wanted to like it given its humor, but it quickly soured like the Red Alert joke. Mostly because of the bad mechanics, the only good thing about the game was the music at the end of the day. Honestly, I'm glad to be finally done with all these bowling games for the PS1. This means we can have an official I review every bowling game for the PS1 compilation again, as I've not found any other games that I've missed. This is it. And now it's time to move on to Nintendo 64 and PC. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.